Du er i øjeblikket en af de radioaktive og lytter til T-Radioen. Vores værter står klar til at give dig en smagsprøve på deres programmer og glæder sig til at møde dig. Vil du ikke gå glip af, når vi er live, så skynd dig at trykke på hjertet, så du følger vores side. Slå røven i sædet og giv en varm velkomst til vores næste program.
All right.
Hi, welcome back to Noise Complaint.
I'm Nelson.
And I'm Bella.
Today, we're glad to be with you all. We're going to talk a bit about sampling and samples.
Yeah, specifically musical samples.
Yeah.
There's some not stool samples as Brian in our program yesterday. We were talking about samples and he just...
Okay, thanks, Brian. So we're going to talk about music sampling, samples. We're going to talk a bit about the process of sampling, its history.
Like ethical issues with sampling, copyright law, should it change?
Yeah, how sampling can expand our ideas of sound and music into the world of nature and the city.
And then last but not least, we'll be interviewing our friend Matteo. But he's currently
trying to get into the building, so we'll find him somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a DJ, so we'll talk to him about his experience with samples, and we'll try to play a sampling game at the end
to guess whether it's an original or a sample.
Yeah, should be quite fun.
The only issue is Matteo can't get into the building because his ID.
Yeah, but we'll get him during a break.
Okay. All right, great. Just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So first, Bella, what is a sample?
So a sample is when somebody reuses a portion of a sound recording in another recording. And so it's not an entire recording, it's just a part of it or a sample of it, hence the use of the word. And so people can use samples just playing it like the original version, or they can loop it or layer it in with other sounds. It can be a lyrical sample, like bass sample, a drum beat. So there's lots of options, and you can use it as a hook or on a loop, or you can use it kind of like to build a new song out of pieces of other songs like Public Enemy did. Cool. So yeah.
Cool. That's a pretty good definition of samples. So before we get into the history of samples, where they came from, how they're used, let's warm people up with a quick example of a song that you've probably heard, but you probably didn't know used a sample.
At least we didn't.
At least, yeah, we certainly did not. So we're going to first listen to this banger from 2007. And then we'll catch in about a minute and a half into the song. We'll stop and talk about the sample that was used. So here we go. All right. So that was MIA's Paper Planes, of course, from 2007.
And now we're going to play the song that was sampled in the Paper Plane song. And the name of the sample is Straight to Hell.
Yeah, so it's
by The Clash.
Hopefully pretty obvious the sound that was used by MIA, but let's hear it.
So we forgot to introduce our guest.
There's a man sitting over here who you might have noticed. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir? Speak into the mic.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for having me. I'm Matteo. I come from Madrid, and I'm here in Copenhagen studying the Four Cities Master in Urban Studies.
So,
and what are your interests? What your relation to music?
Yeah, okay. My relation to music, I love music. I have listened to music from when I was like a baby, Now I'm more into music production, but I also DJ. I used to DJ a lot. Now that I'm living abroad, I'm not DJing because I don't have my material in here. But I'm really interested in the production now, in the production part of music.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna talk more about your relation to samples.
Right.
But for now, I
all
think
ears.
we're gonna get into a little bit of history of the sample.
Yeah.
So Bella and I spent some time in a few Wikipedia rabbit holes this week, and we came out with some interesting stuff. Today I was looking into old samples. So obviously musicians for a long time, for centuries, have been inspired by previous artists and have taken what they hear from those artists and rework them into something new. So I'm going to play very short, only 20 seconds, some classical music to introduce the idea that samples were, used throughout the centuries. So here we have Joseph Haydn's Saint Antony Chorale, which I'm going to play only for 20 seconds, so don't leave. Yeah, so this is from the 19th century, I believe, or maybe even 18th. But Johannes Brahms in Germany, well, I guess he was living in Vienna, but he made a variation of this theme that you're hearing right now. It's called Variation on a Theme by Joseph Haydn in 1873. So let's play that so you can hear the similarities. Okay, so you get the point. Basically, samples have been around for a long time, deep in classical music as well. Traditionally, music, though, was obviously played live with instruments and sheet music, and listeners could see who was playing the music and discern, that music is coming from that person over there playing the flute. But this in the 20th century, there was this expansion into a different type of music called acousmatic music. I think that's how you pronounce it. But it's basically music that is composed for presentation with speakers. So it's like you can't tell exactly where the music is coming from. There's not like someone playing it over there. It's coming from a speaker, and that's called acousmatic sound. So in the 1940s in France, this guy, Pierre Schaeffer, developed this musique concrète. I don't know, how do you pronounce that?
Musique concrète.
Yeah, thank you. Very good. I'm terrible with French R's. So, but basically it's like using tape recordings to like manipulate sound in weird ways.
So like technology really allowed or expanded the capacity of artists to expand upon previous sounds and use them to build or create something else. So, and the next technological invention in the world of sampling was the mellotron, which was like made in the 60s in England. And basically it's like a keyboard that has each key plays like a different recorded sound. And
yeah, it's like an early synthesizer, but you've heard for sure who
like the Beatles.
Yeah, the Beatles used it.
Yeah.
We can actually play maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a song you've heard for sure.
Yeah. Strawberry Fields.
Yeah, Strawberry Fields Forever, from 1967. Mateo's heard it. So just this intro that you've heard is the mellotron.
The mellotron reminds me of like being a kid and playing around with keyboards. There's like a setting where each key plays a different song.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah, I just remember doing that.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so here's the Beatles with the mellotron. Right. So that was the Beatles with Strawberry Fields Forever. And a lot of other people use the mellotron, like David Bowie, the Rolling Stones. I think Oasis brought it back more recently in the 90s and 2000s. So it's a very cool instrument. But sampling technologies obviously got better.
Yeah, and like during the 70s and the early 80s in New York, specifically the Bronx and also Brooklyn, a lot of emerging hip-hop artists and MCs and DJs began to kind of play around with the possibilities of sampling, but with like a turntable. So instead of using actual recorded sounds, they would use the record and like loop breaks or use the break of a song and play around with it. And instead of just pressing a button and playing a recording, it was like moving the record off, taking it on, but trying to do it seamlessly and staying with the beat. And so a break is the part where most of the instruments in the song or recording cut out.
Makes sense.
And so DJ Kool Herc, he actually became known for only playing the break section of songs. And that became like a super popular pattern within hip hop. And then because of that, artists began like purposely creating albums with drum breaks and solos. Yeah, that would then be used for that purpose specifically. And then Grandmaster Flash, he was actually the first DJ to touch the record and create...
Like with his hands?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to touch the record with his hands while it was spinning, to like stop it and create like the scratch that is actually used as like a rhythmic addition to songs. And that became extremely popular after. But there's actually a really good show on Netflix called The Get Down. That like
You've seen it, Mateo?
Do you know the story behind?
No, tell us.
Party is, I read that this DJ, what was the name?
Grandmaster Flash.
Or
No,
Cool Herc?
Cool Herc.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so he started DJing because it was the graduation party of her sister,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
he played. I think he was from the Bronx
Yeah.
or Queens, and he played. He actually played without having anything because he didn't have a lot of vinyls,
Mhm.
and he played with what he got. And actually, a lot of people came because there was like a massive party on the street, and there
Really?
were people from all over the school, and they begin to like what he was doing,
Yeah.
Wow.
and that was what
Mhm.
he really popularized. I mean, also DJing, you know.
Yeah.
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 But imagine
exactly.
being at that party.
Yeah.
Would've
But
been
yeah, the show
crazy.
it gives like fictionalized accounts.
What's it
of
called again?
The Get Down.
The
of
Get
like
Down.
how this type of like DJing and hip hop became. a
Is that the
thing.
one with Will Smith's son?
Jaden Smith? Yeah, I don't know if is he in it or is he like produces or
I
like
don't know.
I don't know, but
Okay.
he's like
It's
he
been
has
a long
something
time.
to do with it, but
Okay.
yeah.
So there's our plug for a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Okay, so but then there's another sample that became really important for the history of hip hop. It's called the Amen break.
Yeah, so one of the most famous breaks.
Yeah, it's basically this 7-second drum break from a 1969 track called Amen Brother or Amen Brother. And so it's known as the Amen break, and it was popular especially into the 80s and 90s among hip hop producers and then eventually British jungle producers. So it's been used in like thousands of songs have used this song, this Amen break. So we're going to play it for you. The break comes about 1 minute and 25 seconds in. You'll hear it. It's basically they've been playing for a while, and then there's a sort of a pause, and then a drum beat comes in. So here is Amen Brother from 1969. That was the break there. Hopefully you caught it. So this break, yeah, as I said, was used in like thousands of songs, including one that some of you maybe not my parents, but others have heard. It's called Straight Outta Compton. So try to listen. It's the break is there. It's just sped up in a bit. So it's if you think about it, you can pick it out. Yeah. All right. So here's Straight Outta Compton. That was NWA Straight Outta Compton. I had said maybe my parents hadn't listened to it. Then Mateo said maybe they have.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
they are even listening to it right now.
Well, they're listening now, I hope. But maybe every morning maybe Bruce and Bonnie wake up and listen to NWA.
I hope. I mean, I hope they're doing this because it's really nice. They should do it.
Yeah, you want Mateo if you're listening.
NWA every morning.
Yeah. All right, Mom, you heard from Mateo. You have to listen to NWA now.
Exactly.
So there's a little bit of a sad ending to the story about the Amen break. So the performer on the original Amen Brother, Gregory Coleman, so he probably didn't even know how big this break was. The copyright owner of the song for Amen Brother, his name is Richard Spencer. None of the group involved with Amen Brother received any royalties for this song. Those are the Winstons is the name of the band responsible for the original Amen break. And actually, Gregory Coleman, the drummer, he died in 2006, like homeless and really down and out, which just speaks a bit to, I guess, some of the ethical questions we should talk about related to sampling.
Just so to add on to that, like usually for songs, the artist or musician never has the copyright like title. It always is the corporation or like the production or like production company or like label they're working for. So a lot of times when people talk about the ethics of sampling, they say that like, oh, well, if you're using this sample without a license, you're like ripping off the artist. But oftentimes it's like not the artist who's being ripped off, it's the corporation. So I think it's also important to center like who has the power within that relationship. But we'll get more to that in a minute. But so, I mean, like, our show is supposed to also be talking about like the urban, which this episode isn't really so much. But I mean, actually a lot of, the history it came about in cities like Brooklyn or so there's an urban tinge to that. But then also thinking about public space or like musical public domain or the public space of music and kind of like who has the rights or should everybody have the rights to use samples. So I know in the original copyright on a song, like that goes to the entire recorded song. Like technically it's not covering snippets of songs that are used.
Okay.
So it was like a really gray legal area for a while. But then there was a law that was passed, a court ruling called the Bridgeport case, and it basically said that any sound of a recording used without a license is illegal. But in the US, there's a loophole around this law, which is called fair use, which means any quoting from copyrighted works for purposes of criticism, commentary, and recontextualization is totally legal and not considered an infringement. So a lot of people use samples using this like fair use law, and then they always get sued afterwards, but in court they claim fair use. So like I was reading in an interview with a couple of rappers, and they were saying that like most hip hop artists are sued for using samples, but then they're also end up being sampled too. So it's like I think the artist often doesn't actually mind if they're sampled. But it's always like the corporate copyright owner who does.
Yeah, but we hear a lot about in the news about every few months, sort of one famous artist samples or maybe copies a song off another, and sometimes it gets heated. Sometimes it's like, it's just music. You need to. You're bringing something new to an old song. There's some validity to that.
I think a lot of it is like also a cultural thing. So I think like sampling has become more popular over the ages, and consumers actually like there's a high demand for wanting to hear samples in songs. And so maybe like the laws should be updated to the culture around it. And like for example, somebody like gave the example of like the Beatles weren't on iTunes when iTunes like first became a thing, because of like copyright issues, and like they didn't think it was necessarily like appropriate for Beatles music to be on iTunes. But then as the culture of iTunes grew and became more popular, like they're now you can find all their songs on iTunes. So it kind of is this adjustment in the music industry.
Yeah. I mean, it's also interesting for us to talk about sampling, as a mechanism for like transfer of sounds between songs, but also between genres, and between kind of cultural groups or cultural pockets. And there's this, a word that often comes up when talking about hip hop sampling, as it relates to pop, which is cultural appropriation. So there's this, obviously a question of, as you consume Black culture and Black music, is this are you fully appreciating and understanding sort of the origins of hip hop?
Yeah, like is it appreciation or appropriation? Because I think a lot of the samples we're seeing that are most popular are soul, funk, and blues. And those are like have historical roots in Black culture. And I think when people continuously use the music of Black people, but then don't carry that over to defending Black lives, like that's an issue. But I think as long as there's like historical understanding and appreciation for the culture, that it's okay. But I think there's a fine line.
Yeah. So we can play like an interesting example to illustrate this kind of gray area, maybe. So there's another one of the most sampled tracks, let's say, is Fab Five Freddy's "Change the Beat" from 1982. So this is Brooklyn, 1982. It's maybe some say the most sampled song in history. So we'll play a few seconds of that now. All right, so now I'm going to quickly play a song that there's the drum beat for that was sampled on many thousands of songs again. One that you've heard of is from 2012. So we went from Brooklyn 1982 to Seattle in 2012.
With Thrift Shop by Macklemore.
Okay, so it might be hard to pick out how there's that Change the Beat, that 1982 track, but it's definitely underlying Thrift Shop.
Yeah, I think that it's also a good song to be an example of how like you don't always recognize when samples are being used because they're layered or looped and played along other beats or melodies.
Yeah, it's also, I think, poetic in a way. It's a song about white wealthy millennials buying stuff at thrift shops, recycling old materials. It sort of mirrors the appropriation maybe or appreciation of sampling and samples. So I think we should move a bit into a wider discussion from the United States and history of hip hop. Into something more abstract maybe or outdoors, nature related.
So sampling isn't just always a sample of like human produced music. Often samples can be nature or field recordings. And we got an email.
We got an
the only
email.
email ever sent to our show email was from my boyfriend Nick. And
Thank you, Nick. Hello.
He sent us an email about the use of nature-based field recording. So, like, one example is this. They recorded the sounds of space and made it into an album.
You could buy this album on Amazon
For $12.
Yeah.
It's, kind of, and then also there's this other project called the Connet Project, which is a 6-hour album of shortwave recordings of theoretically government secret intelligence radio broadcasts. And it's actually really popular with a lot of bands. Yeah. So I looked at the Wikipedia page. Wikipedia is great. And so Faith No More, a rock band, and the head guy of Wilco, super into the Connet Project.
Okay.
And so, but these things are being sold as somebody's music, but it's actually just recordings that they didn't make necessarily. So kind of, do you feel like that's music? What is music?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
We have one of these songs called Swedish Rhapsody from the Connet Project. So it's again secret intelligence government broadcasts.
And Nick wants to ask you, is this music? What does it make you feel? And what does it make you think? Maybe
So,
Matteo can answer those
after
questions
here's
song.
the Connet Project, or at least 15 seconds. Matteo, do you want to respond to this?
How do you feel?
I feel I don't get the message. I don't know what I mean. It's crazy that this includes a message. I mean, I didn't know that. I mean, I know that with sounds you can communicate. For example, Morse language, but this is another level. This is super. You gotta know a lot of music production for that, huh?
Yeah, or it's just recordings of the government they were making.
Yeah, but I guess it's interesting because it in one part it had a little bit of melody, you know? So it had a little bit of coherence.
Yeah.
So it was melodic message.
Yeah. The point of that all is that you should send us an email, like Nick did, to noisecomplaint.show@gmail.com. We really appreciate the correspondence, and Nick actually kind of gave us the idea roughly for this episode.
Yeah. So you too can
you
be
also,
featured.
yeah,
please do it.
I also want to flag a musician that I discovered yesterday named Cosmo Sheldrake. So Annika, one of my dorm mates, we were driving yesterday back from the Danish countryside, and she played a song from this guy Cosmo Sheldrake, who takes recordings. He goes out into the field. There's YouTube videos of him doing this, and records all these sounds of goats, doors closing, old men, laughter, all these things, and then makes these makes songs out of them, music montages out of them, and they're good songs in and of themselves, but it's very interesting the process he uses. So thanks for that, Annika. So maybe now we shift a bit. We got 20 minutes to talking more directly to Matteo.
So I guess our first question is when did you get into DJing and how? Kind of what was the process of
Inspiration.
And do you have a DJ name?
Because someone says, I think it's Henry says DJ Pringles.
Yeah, he's making fun.
Okay,
it's
so
not Pringles, it's Prism.
Prism?
You know Prism?
No.
Yeah.
DJ Prism.
A Prism.
Oh, Prism.
Yeah.
You're DJ Prism.
Yeah.
Why DJ Prism?
I don't know. That was the stupid name I got in the games. You just
a video game.
In the video games, you just pick up a name and Teenage Prism, and they just stay like this. I don't have an artistic name as such. But
it's DJ Prism.
That's my name. But I don't really use it.
Tell us your story, DJ Prism.
I actually was interested when I was actually a teenager. With one of my pals in Madrid, we were really into programs of music. So we were studying about a little bit of FL Studio, for example, also Ableton, and then we once went to a shop, and we started playing with turntables. I thought it was super fun. And then the first experience I got was a workshop, I think, when back in Madrid in the cultural center, which is called Matadero, and it was an event created by DJs and everything, where you could learn to DJs. It was free, and I went there, and I was actually my first time, and it was vinyls, like super difficult for the first time, but it felt really great, and then I bought my first MIDI table.
Yeah.
That was like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Yeah, and then I only play in parties at friends. I played once in a bar club in Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
That
How was that?
just before the master.
Okay.
And really great.
Yeah?
Really great experience. Yeah.
And then you gave it all up to study urban studies.
Yeah, exactly. I said, yeah, maybe I'll just take a little bit of break.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back.
Did
You should perform at our graduation.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Did you perform at all? Maybe more for yourself during quarantine?
I didn't have my
you
material
didn't
at quarantine, but I just the month before I was really into it. I actually have one. Have like I upload one because I was so proud of it. This
Your
was
girlfriend's making notes at you. You can speak as well.
Yeah, but that's not for DJing, yeah, that's in the
Yeah,
quarantine. In the quarantine,
Yeah.
my fellas from the master, you guys gave me a MIDI piano, so I really started into, well, first learning the basics.
Yeah.
Because I don't know a lot of musical theory,
Yeah,
so I'm more now into really learning the theory of music, not really centering about electronic music, because I think you have to know it before you actually get deeper into it.
I used to play piano for like 8 years when I was little, and I had this Russian instructor. She was like really strict, and she would give me like big theory textbooks, and I'd have to do like homework from the musical theory.
Exactly. I think you get maybe when you are forced to it. I
didn't appreciate it when I was a kid.
It
but
is
now
really difficult. Yeah, it's learning a whole language. So
yeah.
What do you say, like, you have a genre that you like to DJ in? Like, what type of DJ kind of are you? DJ Prism.
Okay. I will say electronic music in general, but especially electro, which is kind of more chill techno.
Okay.
But I could also play some more. I actually really like. I don't know if I can say like that, like ethnic music or something like that. These rhythms from Africa, from Latin America. This new
So that's
new movement
that sounds like samples.
It's definitely samples, man.
Yeah.
It's definitely samples, but it's bringing more like electronic rhythms to all the old music. One of my favorite DJs is called Bayuca. He's Spanish.
Okay.
He's from Galicia, and he does like this electronic music with all the traditional Galician music, which is sounds really Celtic music.
Yeah.
And it's so nice.
How do you say his name again?
Bayuca.
Okay. Check him out.
Check him out.
I didn't know that Galicia had such like a Celtic influence, and then I went there on vacation with my family, and they are all from Ireland, and so we were there, and there was like the Celtic music festival. Like when we were there, and I was like, I thought we left Ireland. Like,
can't escape the Irish.
It's so Celtic. I love
had
it.
no idea that. I was
You're trying to get away.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to think about sampling and like the synthesizer, these sampling technologies as kind of bringing like music away from the local, like and really allowing globalization, which is something, a buzzword we talk about all the time in urban studies, and how the sampling techniques have expanded and music across geographic borders. And so you can sample an African, well, let's say a beat from Malawi, and play it in a club in Manhattan. And
that's the I will say that's the music, the rhythms that we listen to now, that the most popular rhythms that we listen to now comes from comes from Latin America,
Yep.
Africa, and
Yeah.
everything. It's
Yeah.
exploding right now. You know, it's
True.
the most popular rhythms. You know, reggaeton, rudo, or
Yeah.
this kind of music is. Or
True.
Yeah, and I think like sampling allows for like when things are come together like that. There's such a new sound.
yeah,
and that it's I don't know if necessarily like 50 years ago. I don't think like new music like that was always being created. Like I feel like there's so many more trends all the time because of the technology that allows like all these different cultures to come together.
Yeah. All right. I think it's time for our game. So we're gonna play a game. We'll see how it goes. The game is called Name That Sample. It's a good. I think it's a catchy name.
catchy name.
Yeah. Basically, here are the rules. So I'm gonna play 30 seconds of an original song. So it's gonna be the original song first, and then Bella and Matteo are gonna try to tell us what songs after that original have sampled that original. Does that make sense?
Wait,
Yeah,
what's
perfect.
So I'm
you're
gonna play the
you're playing
original
the
song.
sample, and then
I'm playing the sample, let's say, and then
okay.
you tell me what
Oh.
song. So we're gonna start with.
I think Matteo's gonna be better at this game.
Well, we'll see.
I don't know.
You guys are working
I don't
together.
know. We never know.
We're working together.
Or
Is it-
not. You can try to guess it first.
Okay, we can-
But we're gonna start.
We can guess. We
easy.
You can help
guess,
too.
we can
We're gonna
guess.
start easy. So now I'm gonna take the computer away so Bella can't
Okay.
see it.
Ah,
Okay, so this first should be easy. Let's hope. And
What if I know the artist and not the name of the song?
then say the artist, I guess,
Okay.
and we'll try to get the name. So, okay, here is the original song.
Under pressure.
So this
Yeah.
is the original, which
I don't know
you
who
said it's
sampled
under pressure, but what is it
There
in?
is. I don't know the name of the. There is it's a more dancey song. I don't know what is it called. It's from the 80s or from the 90s.
Well, yeah, but that's
And
I
then
know,
it's
I know.
it's more rapping.
But
It's
then,
more,
yeah, what is it?
it's rapping. It's like I don't remember. I don't remember. It's like super rapping. Is it the one?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's.
You
there's
have
some
no idea?
answer.
I have
No
no
idea?
idea.
Okay. We're gonna go to the next one. So this is, you'll recognize it immediately. So going from David Bowie and Queen's "Under Pressure" to, okay, so this is "Ice Ice Baby" by Vanilla
Okay, you
Ice.
can do the next
You
one.
guys
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
get it, so no points. But this next one you should be able to get. So this is the original, okay? This is, yeah. You're not going to name this one, that's fine. It's called Cola Bottle Baby, and it's by Edwin Birdsong, and it's the original. So. Okay, so you immediately got it. What'd you say?
harder,
Wait,
better,
Mateo
faster,
said,
stronger.
what'd you say
Yeah.
first?
You said
What?
Daft
You said
Punk.
Daft Punk?
Yeah.
Daft Punk, harder,
Okay.
better,
Faster,
faster,
stronger.
stronger.
Nice.
Dun, dun.
And then also,
Kanye West,
yeah,
stronger.
there we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's true.
You guys both got the points.
Kanye
Bonus
West.
point
Well,
for
I only
Kanye.
knew one of them.
Like big old Kanye West.
So we'll go now to the Daft Punk sample of this, or they use this as a sample. Yeah, it's a great song. But okay, then also we have Daft Punk. Then Kanye, I guess, listens to Daft Punk because then he sampled that original Cola Bottle Baby with. Yeah, that was
Big
was
tune, yeah.
quite the high school
Yeah, that's true.
banger. Okay, so this next one is a bit closer to home right now, being in Copenhagen, in Denmark. So the original song is a Danish song, but you hopefully will recognize what it was sampled on. But here's
I don't feel
here's the
confident about
original.
this.
It's called Tiden Flyver. I don't know. And it's by Boom Clap Bachelor. So here's this Danish song.
What the heck?
Bitch, don't kill my vibe.
Hey!
Yeah. Teamwork.
So yeah, they both got Kendrick Lamar immediately, and then Mateo just got the name of the Kendrick song, which is "Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe."
Great song.
Great song. We'll play it now. But interesting, yeah. So Kendrick listens to Danish music, I
Yeah.
guess. So
Cool.
here's Kendrick's sample of this. So yeah, so Kendrick samples a lot. Also a lot of James Brown. And some Danish songs as well. We heard Kanye earlier. When Bella and I were talking about what the show should be, I wanted to play a lot of Kanye.
But I said he could only play one Kanye
She limited
song.
me to one Kanye song, which is fair given current political situation.
Yeah.
I had to stand my ground.
Yeah,
He's
but
not thinking about something right now.
no, I don't know what he's thinking, but
Yeah.
but it's true that Kanye is a true sampler. Like he samples a ton on Graduation and Watch the Throne. So we're gonna play another one. This next song is, let's say, difficult. It's gonna be tough. The original, you're not, so you'll know the song, the pop song that it samples this, but the original is very, well, let's say it's very far away.
So they change it a lot.
No, maybe you'll be able to recognize that it's not actually changed that much, but it's a very strange origins of the sample. So I'll just play it, and then we'll see if you or any listeners can guess what it sounds like, and maybe put it in the comments. What did you just say?
Toxic by Britney Spears.
Exactly,
I know that.
That's
sound
exactly
anywhere.
right.
Nice,
That's exactly
nice.
right. Yeah. So you
But
hear
it's
that?
It's a bit different. Like,
Yeah. Wait. Okay. Let's hear "Toxic."
only
right
because
now.
I feel like
Okay.
every time we've all hung out, that song has been playing.
Exactly.
Like,
It's playing in your
in
head
my
every
head.
time.
So that song, I'm not going to say this right, but it's from a Bollywood movie from 1980,
wow.
and it's called
okay.
Ter Mer Beach Mean, or I'm not saying that right. But the point is that the producers of Toxic, not Britney, like her producers,
Yeah.
these Swedish producers, found this song from a Bollywood movie and then made it into Toxic, which you'll hear now. So what were you just saying, Matteo? Like it's like a very
I was
simple-
saying it's crazy that we recognize the as really small part of the song. It's really nothing, you know.
Yeah.
It's nothing,
Yeah.
and it's the rest of the song is Britney.
Yeah. But
singing
it's like the
But
hook.
that's
it
the
becomes
most famous part
Exactly,
of the song.
Exactly.
exactly.
Becomes
That's
iconic.
what makes the sauce to the to the song. You know?
Yeah, it's the
That's why
sauce.
it's
No,
recognizable.
but I think it takes like a really special ear to listen to a song and be able to hear like, oh, those 3 seconds are gonna
Yeah,
like
yeah.
make this famous.
Exactly.
really special. But
Yeah.
you guys got it. I was actually shocked. I didn't think you were gonna hear it.
I know my
you
Britney.
don't
Yeah.
know, you don't.
Oh, okay. I don't know what the score is, but you guys
Also,
are doing
free
very
Britney.
well.
I don't know if you've been keeping
Free
up.
Britney.
Free
Free
Britney.
I have not been keeping up, but
Please, Britney, if you are listening to this,
Yeah, her
You gotta
dad
wo-
like owns all of her assets and controls where she goes or when she leaves her house or how she
Wow.
spends her money.
okay.
And they're in like a huge court battle right now. So there's a big
Wow.
movement called
Yeah.
Free Britney.
Yeah.
all right. Okay. Well, anyway, we're gonna play one more because we're running out of time. You've heard the original, and you maybe have heard what it's sampled in. So here's a song you know well. It's called "Good Times" by Chic. Yeah, so we don't have time to play the whole thing, even though it's a great song.
Sad.
Originally, Matteo, you said like "Get Lucky," which I think it does sound like Daft Punk-ish. But the actual like song that samples it is another really famous song for hip hop called "Rapper's Delight."
I wouldn't
okay.
have done that.
But also maybe Shakira also kind of samples it in "She Wolf" backwards, which is interesting.
Backwards.
wow.
I don't have time to
Whoa.
explain that, but like this "Rapper's Delight's" a hugely important song for the history of hip hop and for sampling generally. So we're gonna play that as we close. But I just want to thank Matteo.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys for having.
Yeah.
We had fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like this page.
Yeah, make a Twitch account.
Tune in next week. Email us with ideas.
Yeah, we'll be back next Sunday at 5
Yeah.
Copenhagen time, 11 a.m. Eastern. But thanks again for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
And here's Rapper's Delight. This is Woman to Woman, not Rapper's Delight, but no time to explain. Goodbye.